Hi. So I know like this video is going to be a little bit raw because I was just having this conversation with a friend and I just like I don't know, I wanted to share something, like something that's very important to me. So I wanted to share it with you. Like actually because it's like kind of like top of mind and I don't want to like just shut up about what's going on right now in my mind. So basically, I was having this conversation with this friend of mine and I took it deep because I just like to do that. I just like to take conversation really deep and it went deep like very fast. And basically what happened is that he said, I'll call you back. Basically, like I'm busy right now, I'll call you back. But he was already like he said anyways, like technically we could have still like had the conversation, but that's what he said. And I said, okay, cool. So he said, I need to finish eating, I'll call you back. Now we are right now an hour later, he still haven't called me back. Now there's probably 1,000 reasons to why he didn't call me back. And I mean, I'm just going to guess the worst, which is just he didn't want to have that deep conversation. Because I don't know why, but it's like I want to talk about that specific topic, which is people. Like, do you realize how hard it is to actually find people to have deep conversations with? Because look, honestly, I like to take it deep. And if the person doesn't follow, I'll keep going. I'm not someone who will just like pull back or just be like, oh, I don't want to go too deep. It's like, I'm talking to you because there's an opportunity here for us, both of us to change, and then we're going to take it deep. We're going to go at the root cause and then solve the problem. But sometimes it's not the best thing to do. I agree with that. But then they have to tell me that, oh, I don't want to talk about this instead of like making excuses, right? And I'm not saying he made excuses, but I'm saying that this is what happened. And I wanted to share about that because it's not the first time. So, okay, listen. First thing first, when do we actually get to talk about making real changes? When do we actually talk about like real connection? When do we actually talk about having deep conversation? When do we actually get about having real friends, having support? When do we actually talk about real connections? Why don't we actually talk about like when do we actually talk about like real problems or real like conversations like marriage, like deep connections, like building a community, like looking at what's going on in the world and the abuse that's going on in the world? When do we actually talk about that? When do we actually talk about the impact that we have on like the abusive system we have and how we participate in those? Like, when do we actually talk about that? When do we actually talk about actually making a change? When do we actually talk about actually making money? When do we actually talk about actually understanding the money system? When do we actually talk about understanding the education system? When do we actually talk about this? When do we actually talk about the brainwashing we live in and the slavery and the entertainment system that we have right now? That's just brainwashing everyone. And I'm saying brainwashing, but it's like I have a like way deeper understanding of that I could share with you, but not in that video. So I will use the word brainwashing to say that we are conditioned to believe some beliefs, and the entertainment systems and the education system plays a big part in that. But it's like, when do we actually talk about that? Like, that's an actual question. When do we actually talk about change? And now some people might say, but that's just talk. And I'm gonna say that's step one. Because step two, when do we actually take the action? When do we actually build a community, build a business, build a team, actually engage with people, actually meet new people, actually make connections, actually bring back marriage? Because we don't have marriage right now. Actually bring back marriage, actually bring back real values, actually bring back family, actually bring back hope, actually bring back like an education system that will not brainwash you, actually take the actions necessary to build the entertainment system we need to educate people and not be influenced too or brainwashed. When do we actually bring back equality? When do we actually take the actions necessary to build a world that's best for all? When do we actually change the money system? When do we actually make more money? When do we actually solve the problems we have right now? When do we actually participate into stopping the abuse that's going on in the world? When do we actually do that? When do we actually take the necessary action? That's step 2, because now we know where we're going. Once we've talked about it, we know we're committed to it. So when do we actually take the actions and make the changes? When? Why not now? Why not now? Why not actually talking about it now? Why not actually taking the actions now? Why not actually educating ourselves on those topics now? Why not? Anyways, so I commit myself to actually taking the actions, to actually having the conversations, even though it's challenging, to actually pushing my friends to actually go to that deeper layer, to that deeper level, to that deeper understanding of reality and how we are going to support each other to create a world that's best for all. Because it's all of us or none of us. And I'm not saying that I'm going to force anyone to do anything. If you don't like this, don't talk to me. If you don't agree with what I said, with actually talking about what matters, actually building a world that's best for all, actually taking the action, if you don't agree with that, don't talk to me. Don't. Actually, don't. Go back to your slavery system of abuse and just keep doing what everybody else is doing, and then let your children do the same, because they never had the opportunity to have the right education to be able to see this for what it is. But we do have that opportunity, and I'm building the community, and I'm taking the action, and I am building my understanding of myself so I can support myself to be able to support others, and I'm actually going out there having the conversations. And if you want to do it too, and if you know there's so much value into this, and if you know that this is something you also want, just reach out, because I'm in a community who's doing it, and we're all doing it together. So let's actually do it together, because like I said, it's all of us or none of us. So if you're open to this, just reach out and everything's gonna be okay.